Today's video, we are going to be going over walking the lot, checking for cars that need to be shot, and looking for dots that actually mark the cars that tell you whether or not they've been shot or not. Guys, I want to talk about whenever you get your first dealership, it's important to walk around the entire lot. It's important to get bearing on where everything is, where the detail bay is, where the service is, where different areas of the dealership is, just so you get a familiar grasp of where you're going to be shooting and where you're going to be working. All right, this is what a typical dealership lot looks like. You've got front of the building, showroom, you got service on one side, detail on the other. They usually separate new and used cars. Looks like we've got new cars on this side, used cars on the other. If we're going to do any kind of walking the lot for the start of the day, always walk the used first. The used is always most important. The used is always more unique. There's a bunch of different models on the new, but generally there's many different vans, many different Honda Civics. So when you come to a lot, make sure you really focused on used first, because most vehicles are one of a kind. They really want to push out these used cars first. Again, just very imperative that we start with used, because in my opinion, and I believe as well as the dealership, used cars are the most important, at least to start off with. So we start our day with used, end it with new, you move on. So on a typical dealership lot, you have something, what is called a front line. Front line is all the vehicles that are ready, they've been detailed, they're ready to be sold, they either need to be shot or don't need to be shot, but the fact is, frontline ready means they've been detailed and they are ready. On the other hand, you've got vehicles that have just arrived. Mostly they're either trade-ins or vehicles that were bought in auction, but they will generally be in a certain area. These won't have the typical license plates that are marked with the brand of the dealership, but you will also look at these. Some of them might be clean, some of them might not be, but the idea is to walk the entire lot and check the entire lot for vehicles that need to be shot, because that's the name of the game, and we need to get vehicles shot and ready as fast as possible. So again, this is the staging area where they have their auctions and trade-ins. Here's front line. There's a couple ways to walk these lots. You can either do a U-shaped, where you're walking on the outline of the dealership lot and parking lot, working your way in, or you can go from lane to lane and more of a S-curve. Kind of depends on your own preference. Whatever is easier for you guys, you know. So we're going over, again, what to look for and what needs to be shot and what has been shot. Also, quality assurance. You kind of want to walk your lot once a week just to make sure that everything is properly dotted, stickered, and that has photos. So if we're going to start on this lane right here, generally when we shoot cars, when we're done shooting the cars, we put a dot, whether it be at the top of the windshield on the front or the rear windshield. But as you can see, if we're walking this lot, the first few cars have dots. And what makes this pretty easy, what makes walking the lot faster, is dotting cars, because in reality, you could step back, for an example like I am right here, and you can see all your cars in the lane and see that they've either all been dotted, or maybe this black car right here has not been shot, and so I'm going to immediately walk to that car and check it. Hey, this doesn't have a dot, most likely I need to shoot it. But again, if you kind of back up and view all your vehicles, you'll be able to see what has photos and what hasn't really quickly, really easy. And that's why it's so imperative that every time you shoot your car, you mark it. Because let's say, for an example, none of these cars were marked. It's going to make our job a lot harder, because now we have to check each individual car to make sure it has photos. Another way to check if it has photos, you could see if it has a window sticker and buyer's guide. All right, guys, so it looks like the photographer here is on point. He's very thorough. We got everything shot pretty much on the front line as of today. But we're going to use this Chevy Traverse as an example. It has been shot. But if you locate the car without a dot, you can either first check the VIN number. We always like to go by either the last 8, last 4, last 6. You type it into our software, it will pop up immediately. I would prefer and I would recommend using the VIN as opposed to stock numbers. The difference between that is the VIN is the 17-digit number identifying the vehicle. The stock number is what a dealership uses to identify their car with either a shorter number, but that's what the dealership creates and the dealership uses. So it's not always accurate. Could be typo. They could enter in the wrong stock number, and that kind of throws off everything. So again, I'd recommend using the VIN, not the stock number. All right, guys, so for an example, here's a window sticker. Here's the stock number right here. It is very similar to the VIN. On the end of it does have an A, but again, most dealerships will just create their own numbers and it will not be like the VIN. So again, if you do not see the VIN on the front or you can't read it, it might be covered. Try to find a sticker on the car. A lot of vehicles have their own stock tags or stickers, and you can always view it on the actual sticker. Utilizing the software that we have and that we're providing, you use that VIN number and you type it into our software, and you'll be able to add that to your priority list of vehicles to shoot. So when you go into the dealerships and you pull these keys, you'll have this condensed list of cars that you found that need to be shot versus what's on the missing photo report. Again, to go over exactly what a missing photo report is, it's a report that has all the vehicles that do not have photos, or they have a list of short shoot photos that we have, which we went over in a different video. And again, to refresh your memory, is between 5 and 11 photos. Preliminary photos just showcasing the car until we get it cleaned. I want to go over the trade-in line or the auction line, the vehicles that have not been detailed or that have just arrived and we do not have photos yet. So again, using this line as an example, you can tell that all these vehicles either trade-ins or auction vehicles, and they still need to go through detail, they still need to go through service. You guys can still walk these lots. I think it's still important to go through some of these because they could be clean enough to shoot. We could just throw some license plates on there. But you also want to go through this because in the earlier training video, when we go over our software, a lot of these cars will be on our missing photo report, and it's good to notate, hey, these need to be detailed, these still need service, these still need plates. It's good to mark that in that list so the dealership can be notified, and then that way they can get the vehicle detailed quicker so you can get photos of them. A few key tips and tricks. If you can see, these dealerships have a front, back, side to side. A lot of times, vehicles will be kept on the side that are not necessarily on the front line. They'll be kept in the back. 9 times out of 10, you don't really need to go back there and check, but sometimes you do. So what I would say is once a week, maybe go check some of these vehicles in the back, because we want to be thorough. We want to ensure that we've touched every car and that you can be confident that we found every car to get photos, because we don't want to leave a car behind. Another key tip or trick is these license plates that have the dealership brands on them. You'll be able to tell if they've been detailed or not if they have the plates on there or not. If they don't have the plates, most likely they haven't been detailed. If they do have the plates, they have been detailed. We don't want to shoot dirty cars. We do have the option of running them through the car wash. Every situation is unique, and obviously you can reach out to one of us and ask these questions specifically. Any questions you might have, because you could run into a very unique issue, and most likely we've dealt with it before. Another side note, a lot of vehicles are stored what is called the front pad. It's the very front of the dealership, and some vehicles are stored inside. Be sure to walk those vehicles and to notate and locate if they need photos or not. The dealership will either help you move them out of the showroom, or you can also move these off the front pad yourself and shoot. But again, don't forget to look at those vehicles as well, because they may need photos. So right now we're going to go check out the detail bay. As we're walking, you'll be able to see service. But again, it's important to know where all these locations are, because keys could be in service, keys could be in detail, keys could be up front, keys could be with the salesperson. So again, it's really good to get a grasp on the layout of inside the dealership and outside the dealership. I mean, we're going to be walking inside of the detail bay where all the cars get detailed. And so if you need keys, if you come in, again, it's good to have a relationship with detail, because we do work in sync. And if you ever need keys, they might have keys, and this is where you might find them. Definitely ask before you actually get the keys, because you don't want to just take something that's not in our possession. So for an example, for this Ford, these are ready for wash, so they've got the list of cars that they need to clean. When these guys are done, they actually hang it here ready for pictures. Not every dealership does this, but a lot of dealerships will have this, because right after detail, they do want to get photos, and it's important. So if you do end up coming back here because we can't find keys and they're hanging from here, you could always ask the detail, hey, could we take these keys, shoot the car, and again, bring it back. If it's a slow day, and or there's a few vehicles that you've actually found with the interior being decently clean, a lot of dealerships will actually allow us to run the cars through the car wash. Again, it benefits them, because if we run it through the car wash, detail doesn't have to touch it, we don't have to wait on it, and we can get photos quicker. I'll say one thing I do want to highlight, and this could be in the key track video, this is also important in this video, is wherever you get the key from, you need to put it back in the exact place you got it. So if you get your key from detail, you want to return it from detail. If you get your key from key track, if you get your key from a salesman, you want to make sure you return it to the person you got it from. This ensures that we know where all of the keys are and where they're returned. So in case of a lost key, we'll actually be able to track it and at least try to find the key. In some instances, keys are lost. We have lost keys personally. Don't worry about that. Definitely contact me or one of the managers, because we will then take care of it. Sometimes we have to replace them, but other times dealerships are pretty understanding and they will replace it themselves. But really, it's important to keep track of your keys. So that was a little peek into how we walk the lot, how we locate cars, how we mark cars, but also, and again, I do want to remind you, however you choose to walk the lot, make it efficient and effective for you. You can do it many sorts of ways, but as long as you're touching every car, or at least seeing every car, like how I am right now, I'm in between both lanes. I could literally stand in the middle and look at every single car, look at every single windshield, and locate the cars that I need to shoot. And guys, that wraps up our training video on how to walk the lot and how to identify the vehicles that need photos and the ones that already have photos.